What if the person you think you are is just a fraction of who you truly are? What if years of conditioning and surviving in a challenging world have left you clinging to strategies and beliefs that mask your truest nature? I'm Catherine Duca, psychotherapist and self-esteem coach, and you're listening to Who Do You Think You Are? A show that looks beneath our psychological masks and uncovers our profoundly messy, beautiful, brilliant, tender-hearted selves. Join me as we go in search of the hidden power of our true selves. I'm so glad you're here.
And if you know me, you know that is absolutely true. I am so glad to be here. Thank you. And welcome to Who Do You Think You Are? A podcast dedicated to you, to your well being, your emotional truth, and your right to live a life that honors you. On this show, we talk about ways to cultivate the highest regard for yourself, how to live from a place of self respect and self love, and how to make yourself a priority in your own life. Join me for insights and strategies designed to help you drop your psychological masks, connect with your truest essence, and simply live life with greater ease. Because we know that when we approach life in this way, we naturally and effortlessly have more room, more generosity, and more love for one another. And as I say each and every Sunday, dear listeners, wide receivers, when have we needed love more than this very evening, Sunday evening, Thanksgiving weekend? So, welcome. Before we dive in, I want to mention something very important. This show is a space where we explore our emotional landscape, where we test out various ideas of psychological nature. But this show is not a substitute for quality mental health support. It is not. So, if you find yourself struggling tonight, if you're in pain, if you're hurting, if you are simply not feeling yourself and you haven't been able to shake that feeling or work it through, or you find yourself doing things to numb that feeling and those things do not serve you, please, please consider calling someone for help. There is good help out there, and someone is waiting and available to support you and help you get to the other side. So don't go it alone. And the other thing that I want to remind you of, if you derive benefit from this content tonight, and if you've been listening in the past, I invite you to please like, subscribe, and share the show, because the more of you who do that, you make the algorithm happy, and then the show gets shown to more and more people. So like, share, and subscribe. Thank you in advance for that. So this is a special weekend, and I invite you to come into this space with me, this shared space, gently and easily, knowing that you and I think everyone listening, both tonight and in the days and weeks to come on the replay, we all want the same things. We want the same things. We want to be known for who we are. We want to be seen without having to perform. We want to be held in our complexity and our quirkiness, not just for our usefulness. We want to be loved for our own becoming. We want to be loved in our own process of evolving into the best and highest version of ourselves, not just for our arrival. And I think perhaps more than anything, we want to know that we are not alone, that we're not alone. Now, there is so much going on in the world this very evening. And I don't think any of us can be awake and not be in some level of emotional pain. There are things going on that are unspeakable, things going on that are tragic, things going on that have many of us, certainly it has me, questioning our very humanity. But at least for the coming hour, I invite us all to let our understanding and our experience of what's going on in the world out there, I invite you to let that recede just a little bit into the background while we consciously step into the now here and turn our attention inward, turn our attention to all that's happening within each one of us, knowing that we are infinitely more connected by what goes on inside of us, by the things I just mentioned we want, than we are disconnected. So you, as I will do myself, to keep this sentiment in mind. So with that, this is, as I mentioned, it is Thanksgiving weekend, and we are bringing this weekend to a close. But as we gather around the idea of this holiday tonight, I have to mention that not everyone views this holiday in the same exact way. You know, there are people this weekend, indigenous p- peoples, who do not view this weekend, this holiday, as a celebration, as a kumbaya experience, but rather one of displacement and loss and colonization, actually. So many Native Americans, I've come to understand, view this holiday as one of mourning, mourning. And they will tell you that the narrative of the Pilgrims and Native Americans around a big table in a harmonious moment is really a mythologized moment. And this experience is very, very, very real for many among us. So I have to acknowledge that. Frankly, in my own process and consciousness, lately, it's given me some pause to simply say Happy Thanksgiving. Um, and if I do say Happy Thanksgiving, I am aware of the mixed emotions that come with this holiday. That said, tonight I do want to talk about one common aspect of not only this holiday but this time of year. It's a time of year where we've, as a culture, adopted a mindset of gratitude and generosity. And of course, it's a time that gets the holiday season underway. Um, but um, you know, I have to mention that in this notion of gratitude, which is a beautiful, quite a beautiful notion, and even more than beautiful, you probably know this already, but adopting a practice of gratitude is not only a nice thing to do, a beautiful thing to do, but it is also a very healthy thing to do. Now, should we reserve gratitude for one weekend out of the year? Of course not. Of course not. Um, the more we incorporate gratitude into our daily living, number one, it doesn't hurt anything, and it certainly helps. And number two, it is healthier. This is backed up by science. Being in a state of appreciation and a state of gratitude for one another actually goes a long way to calming us down physiologically. Physiologically, we're often in a hyper aroused state for one reason or another. But when we stop and take notice the things for which we are deeply grateful, it has a calming effect. And so it's not just a nice thing to do. I think it's a necessary and very important thing to do. So let's have that in the background. Now, many of you, as I had the pleasure and the privilege of doing, probably had dinner with family or friends. Now, of course, not everyone did. I personally know a few people who chose to spend Thanksgiving by themselves, and they were comfortable doing that. Um, some people told me they just didn't want the drama of family gatherings and they didn't want to deal with family dynamics. So they were perfectly content, and I believe them, with just spending quiet time at home. um, I don't know, some people watch television, watch the game, watch the parade. Other people just busied themselves with some personal projects, but they chose to spend the day or the evening by themselves. But if you went to a gathering, you likely had this experience. Perhaps you were all around a table and someone, maybe the host, suggested that you go around the table and everybody make a statement or two about what they feel most grateful for this year. And that's quite a beautiful thing to do. And it really calls to mind, if you're not in the practice of doing it, it can really kind of flood you with an inner warmth and an inner appreciation that life is really quite a mixed bag, right? As I said before, there are all things going on in the world, these very painful things. And there are also many magnificent, beautiful things going on in the world. People are discovering things, babies are born, um, opportunities are had, you know, relationships are are beginning. Um, so this weekend, not unlike life itself, is very much a mixed bag. So as we move through the weekend, bringing it to a close, my thoughts turn to a kind of gratitude that I don't think ever makes the list. It certainly has never been on any list that I have been a part of. Um, we know how to give thanks for what we have. We know how to give thanks to the people we love and for the people we love. We know to give thanks for whom and what has held us up and walked us through. We're mindful of gifts we receive, gifts we give, both large and small, especially the gifts that don't cost anything. I think that's why so many people enjoy the traditional holiday of Thanksgiving, because it's not as commercialized as some of the other holidays. So, you know, these things matter and they matter deeply. But I began to reflect on the fact that there's another kind of gratitude that, as I said, very rarely makes the list. And what is that? Well, that's the gratitude you give to yourself. The gratitude you give. When is the last time you thought, hey, I owe myself a debt of gratitude? I I deserve to appreciate myself. Well, if you haven't done it or you're not in the habit of doing it, I invite you to do it this evening with me and with everyone listening. On this show, I think I've been doing this podcast just about a year now. I started early last November, and we have covered a lot of ground together, haven't we? If you're a regular listener, you know we have talked about everything from, oh gosh, how to have that difficult conversation you've been avoiding, to how to allow yourself to open your heart and receive love and abundance that comes your way. We've talked about how to be a good wide receiver. We've talked about the importance of keeping promises to yourself. We talked about your personal bill of rights. We talked about how to say no. We talked about conflict and how to spot when we're running away from conflict. And we discussed at length how to do something quite counterintuitive, and that is to lean into conflict. Because by doing so, you actually honor the relationship you're in. You honor the person with whom you're having the conflict, and you honor yourself because you're not scurrying away from the matter at hand. You are actually, addressing it head on. And that's, I think, quite a noble thing to do. So we have covered a lot of ground here. And I've heard from many of you, and your responses have been really all across the board. Some of you told me that some of our conversations triggered you. And some of you said that that wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but that you felt more compelled to look underneath the trigger and try to get to the bottom of whatever was causing you to feel irritated or anxious or sad or upset. We I heard from people who were estranged from a family member, and because of our conversation and your contributions in the chat, actually made amends, something they thought they would never do, all because of a conversation that we were having together. And isn't that wonderful? So maybe as you listen to this podcast tonight, maybe you're acknowledging that to make some changes. Maybe you've had that hard conversation. Maybe you've taken a stand somewhere in your life where you were unable to do that before. Maybe you asked for help, right? Or maybe you said no, even in the smallest of ways, if saying no is particularly difficult for you. So these are big things. These are big steps. Maybe, as someone told me, maybe you're beginning to realize, maybe it's dawning on you that your self-worth is not up for negotiation, that your self-worth does not rise and fall on whether someone else validates you. So I want to say to you tonight, if this has been the case with you, if you have made these little but I think very significant experiments, if you've tried something different because of what you heard here, then I invite you to congratulate yourself. Congratulate yourself. Acknowledge yourself. Thank yourself. And if you haven't yet taken action, if you haven't taken these steps, because maybe you're in the process of gathering the courage to do so, or maybe you're just wondering what else is possible for you, wherever you are, I invite you to thank yourself as well. Because whether you took action yet or not, congratulate yourself for staying in the conversation, dear listeners, for getting still, for being willing to look inward, even when it may not have been comfortable, for not giving up on your own beginning and becoming. This kind of self-commitment, the commitment to do something differently, to reverse the course of your life if you feel stuck or stagnant, or you feel you're meant for more, but you just haven't gotten the traction. and from listening to this show and indeed this station have found the courage, or you're contemplating the courage to take actionable steps, then you deserve your own recognition. You deserve your own recognition, because this is the kind of self-commitment that actually strengthens self-worth. You know, self-worth is not something, well, first of all, we all have self-worth. We all have it. Even if you feel you don't, I'm here to tell you that you do. And incidentally, let me just tell you, if you feel that your self-worth comes from getting external validation, from somebody else liking you or somebody else praising you, or if you feel that the comparisons you make to other people are such that you'll be worthy when you catch up to those other people, or maybe even surpass them. If this is what your self-worth hinges on, um, I'm telling you with all the respect and love I have for you, you are a little tiny bit hugely mistaken, because no one, no earthly person can give you your self-worth. It is innate. We are all born with self-worth. Now, our parents, our caregivers, society at large does a great deal. They do a great deal to affirm our self-worth, to bring our self-worth about, to help us be in the presence of our self-worth. But no earthly person, I really hope I can express this clearly, is the bestower of self-worth. So the news flash is, since no one gave it to you, no one can take it away. And you can't lose it. There's nothing you can do to get it, to gain it, to improve it. And there's nothing you can do to lose it. You're stuck. You're stuck with the self-worth you have. And so what this podcast has been about has been being willing to take off some of the masks that you wear, that I wear, the masks that conceal our truest nature, the masks that would have us believe that we have to be a certain way in order to be loved, in order to be valued, in order to have self-worth. So, you know, we do all the things that the masks have us do. We wear the mask of people pleasing. We wear the mask of not asking for too much, being the one who doesn't rock the boat, the one who doesn't need anything, the overly competent one, the overly apologetic one, the overly know-it-all one, the overly avoidant one. These are all, friends, these are all mechanisms that we learned to adopt and to move through life with in order to perpetuate a deeply held myth that if we navigate with those cover-ups well enough, we'll get to the end point. We will reach our destination, which is, in our small-mindedness, we will be loved. But that's just not true. That's just not true. So if you've been following my work and listening to this podcast, if what we've talked about here has helped you find the courage to let go of your mask a little bit and be a bit more tolerant of other people letting theirs down as well, then I think we've done something pretty terrific here. So I'm inviting you to turn inward tonight and wholeheartedly acknowledge whatever it took you to do the hard thing. So if you took action, again, salute yourself. If you said no instead of running yourself ragged because you were exhausted, and you said no instead of that reflexive, sure, I'll do it. Praise yourself. Praise yourself. Okay? If you stood still instead of running around like crazy, doing for others, putting yourself last on the list, say, wow, good for me. Good for me. And if you've been kind of walking around the pool, afraid to, put your big toe in, I'm here to tell you, come on in. The water's warm. The water's warm. You will like it here. Nothing feels as good as authenticity. And remember, we are, you and I think everyone, we are in a state of evolution. We are evolving. We are emerging. We are transforming. And it is our birthright, by the way. It is our birthright to be individuals who are fully expressed. That's our birthright. Not because any earthly person told us so, but because each of us is an expression of the divine. Each of us is the embodiment of universal love and divine intelligence. That's who we are. So on the surface, I'm Catherine, and I wear this mask, and I perform in this role. But that's just the surface. Underneath, I, like you, are a child of universal love, a child of divine intelligence, and unlimited goodness. And friends, when we remember that, number one, and the more we embody that, because it's not just knowing in our heads, right? It's not just knowing that. It is embodying, it is drinking in, it is knowing more and more and more until we know it with every fiber of our being, where we come from. When we know that, life gets easier. Masks automatically fall away. This is a conversation to have until that time, right? We have to work at understanding our masks and consciously trying to lift them up a little bit, if not take them completely off, right? We are, after all, spiritual beings having a human experience, and as such, we have this thing called personality, and this other thing called coping mechanisms. And so, as human beings, we have to play with these things. But this is just something to keep us busy until we get to that point of knowing, until we uncover it. It's not something we really have to aspire to. It's something we have to remove the debris and the impediments from, and claim this and know this and step into this. So on this weekend, as we close Thanksgiving weekend 2025 out, I invite all of us together to pay attention to our essence, pay attention to the depths of our being, all the while, because it's no fun if we just do this for ourselves, all the while paying attention to, just by holding it in our consciousness, the depth of being of other people. Because that person in the mall who got in front of you online, that person who cut you off on the highway, that person who was snarky, yeah, of course, it's off-putting. But, who among us hasn't been that way? So if we would like to be forgiven, if we would like to be given a second chance, if we would like to be excused, then I submit for your consideration. Do we not have to go first? I think we do. I think we do. So On your gratitude list, I invite you and encourage you to put yourself on that list, and not just on the list, put yourself high up on that list. Because if you have stayed, if you have turned inward, if you have, you know, tried to stay in that grace period of that in between, trying to let go of a former way of being without having the new way in place. And so you're in that awkward, clumsy, state of mind, and you've stuck with it, or you stuck with it longer than you ever have, then you deserve your own praise tonight and your own thanks. And so I invite you to put your hand over your heart with me now and take a breath in and call to mind your beautiful, beating, alive heart. The heart that has been with you and been with me always. The heart that has taken in so many things. The heart that has been in pain. The heart that has been broken. The heart that has burst with joy. The heart that at times you haven't been able to feel. That heart, with hand over heart and attention to its every beat. Say with me, thank you. Thank you for staying awake. Thank you for staying present. Thank you for not retreating when it was easier to do so. Thank you. Thank me. Thank yourself. Take up the space you were meant to take up. You are not too much. You deserve to be here. And each of us is an agent of change. And as agents of change, because we are not here merely to tolerate what's going on in this world. We are here to change it for the better, to change it for good. You know that. And we will become better agents of change the more we know who we really are. And so that reminder, dear listeners, wide receivers, is as close to you as your own beating heart. And it's as close to me as mine. I think our job is to remember to tune into it. To tune into it. So, thanks to yourself. Give thanks to the person next to you. Give thanks to the people who cross your path. Make it a holiday 365 days of the year. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for receiving me. I am going to, I see there's a couple of people in the chat. I'll say hello and then take a short break. Claudia, welcome. Good to see you. Hi there. Patricia, welcome. Good to see you. Hi, Kathy. It's been wonderful not to say yes when I mean no. Ah, terrific. To put myself second to so many people's needs or expectations of me. I'm okay if I disappoint them. I'm finally free. Kudos to me. Well, let me read that again because that's just so beautiful. It's been wonderful not to say yes, right, Trish, in that automatic and reflexive way, right? You can't help it. It just comes out of your mouth. It's been wonderful not to do that when you really mean no, to put myself second to so many people's needs or expectations of you. I take it you mean you're doing that less and less. I'm okay if I disappoint them. I'm finally free. Yeah, you're free of those self-imposed shackles, I think. Because if we, as I said at the top of the show, if we dance to other people's expectations, if our own voice is buried beneath the avalanche of other people's definition of who we are, then what can we do in this life? Think about it. How free are we? And if we're not free, and Lord knows many people on this planet are not, and I believe we have an obligation to help them become free. But it starts with us, because who are we going to help if we ourselves are confined in this inner prison of needing to agree so that we're liked, so that we feel like we're worth something? So it is an act of rebellion, I think, in a cookie cutter world, in an Instagram image making. Everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's behind a filter. It is an act of rebellion not to conform and become, just that cookie cutter, but to be yourself and embrace yourself. That's an act of sweet defiance, sweet defiance. And I know this, the more you do it, the more people will say, I'll have what you're having, because it looks pretty good. Trisha, I bet you look great in this freer state. Too bad this is a one-way viewing here, right? I bet you have a sparkle in your eye and a lightness in your being, because that's what happens. When we know who we are and we drop our masks, um, uh, certain things happen to our body. Our posture straightens. Our chin is square. We have a sparkle in our eye. Our complexion is better. Our musculature relaxes. We get a little taller because our spine is straighter. Our aura, right? Even though we're taking care of ourselves, our aura is more open and more receptive, and we're more accessible and approachable. So I hope I'm making the case tonight. I hope I'm making the case for authenticity and for giving yourself the validation that you've been waiting for. Um, but I want to leave you with a few affirmations, a few very brief statements you can say to yourself any hour of the day or night, when you're walking the dog, when you're going through the Lincoln Tunnel, when you're in ShopRite, whatever you're doing. And I've come up with this short list of affirmations that I think capture some of the episodes that I very much enjoyed, and episodes that I thought were significant. So these are very simple. You may want to jot them down or listen on the replay. So here we go. Oh, now I just want to say affirmations can be a little tricky. Um, I don't use them very often, and I'll tell you why. Because if we say something, if we declare something that we do not believe, we truly don't believe it, we will reject it. On some level, mentally, emotionally, we tell ourselves that's not true. That's just not true. So it doesn't land. So I think I look at these more as invitations, how to frame some of the things we've been talking about. So here goes. They're really very simple. I like to put my hand on my heart when I say these. So number one, I am enough exactly as I am. I am enough exactly as I am. Next, I honor my journey with all its twists and turns. I honor my journey knowing that it is not a straight line. There are twists and turns, and I honor each of them. I appreciate myself for showing up today, for showing up, in particular, in the way in which we've been talking, showing up differently, more authentically. My voice matters. My presence matters. My being matters. Even when I stumble, I am still worthy of love and gratitude. Even when I stumble, I am still worthy of love and gratitude, because nothing disqualifies me from being lovable and being grateful to myself. I thank myself for staying true. I thank myself for staying true, for listening, and for daring. Daring. I like to add, not off the high dive, but a little bit more than you did before. So I thank myself for staying true, for listening, for daring. And lastly, I carry appreciation for myself into every step I take. I think that's a beautiful one. I carry appreciation for myself into every step I take. So, dear listeners, I hope you take that on the road. And as you go about your life, I hope these statements will echo in your mind and help anchor you, because we all drift, right? We all drift in and out of a good idea. We all drift in and out of progress. That's not failure. That's how we work things through. Nothing ever gets worked through in a straight line. I've never seen that in all my career. It's up and back. But each time you go back, you don't go back as far, nor do you stay back as long. And so there's an upward arc. There's an upward arc that occurs. So stick with it. Stick with it. Okay. Very quickly, I'm going to say hello to other people in the chat. Just Judy. Hi, Catherine. I don't often disagree with you, but the statement that no one can take self-esteem away from us and no one can give it to us. Think back to the nurture versus nature question. Nurture versus nature. Okay, Judy. I hear you. Causes me to think of nature versus nurture quandary. Well, yeah, I've said a number of times, we are born into this world with a certain constitution, but having, well, this is an in-depth conversation, and I'm mindful of the time. I'm going to make a note of that, Judy, and we may continue that at some other point, but well taken. And that is certainly a legitimate argument. How much is nature and how much is nurture? So thank you for that. Tony, glad you're here. Better late than not at all. I welcome you. Claudia, I'm thankful to me for wanting to try very hard to be happy despite health challenges that I have every day. I'm thankful to me that I find joy in the little things. I am too, Claudia. And you go on to say, Eleanor Roosevelt said once that no one can make you feel inferior unless you give them your consent. Mm-hmm. I believe that. And I say thank you to me when I was able to do that. And now that I'm older, I still say it and continue to say that, Claudia. That's the kind of inner dialogue I think we need to have with ourselves instead of the critical dialogue. Gratitude is the antidote to the critical voice in our heads. So thank you all for your comments. Thank you all for contributing and co-creating a better conversation. Now, I want to turn to a programming note. It's with mixed emotions here. I am going to be taking a deep break, hence my slip before the commercial. Some good news, some exciting news. My partner and I have decided to relocate out of state. Those of you who know me know that we live in northern New Jersey, just a few minutes outside of Manhattan. We are relocating to the state of Delaware, the very first state of the Union, and we're going to be living in the very first town, the very first state. And that is going to require my time and attention. We've just purchased a new home there, and the home needs a little love And my understanding is that that project is going to take a few months. I don't know exactly how long, but that's what I'm told, a few months. So I am going to take a hiatus from this show. There will be rebroadcasts every week, and you can certainly find all of the past episodes on New Thought Media Network. They live on the station, as well as my own YouTube channel. You can just go to YouTube and look for me, Catherine Duca, Confidence Builder, and you'll see my channel, and all the episodes are archived there. But we're going to play the best of, and if you've missed any, or if you want a second go, that's how you do it. I am going to be practicing what I preach as best as I can. I'm going to be taking care of myself. I've done a home renovation in the past, and I know nothing gets me going than some of the things that occur during a renovation. I love my contractor, and he is a person of integrity, and he's a great human being, and I anticipate only smooth sailing. But, there might be some things around the edges that are going to challenge me. And I'm going to try to go through it authentically, as best I can, and use my voice. And if you would like to keep in touch with me, and I hope you do, you can email me at any time, Catherine@CatherineDuca.com. That's Catherine@CatherineDuca.com. And you can certainly sign for my newsletter. I'll be letting you know my progress and my whereabouts. There will still be a newsletter. And I will see where I am in a couple of months' time. Probably that brings us to early spring. So my slip of the tongue was a truism. I am taking a deep break, and I will take all of you with me. The conversations we've had, the agreements, the differences of opinion, I have welcomed them all. Friends, you have honored me. It's 10 o'clock at night. Those of you, well, it is now 9 o'clock when you join me. And I know that can be kind of a tricky time slot, but many of you have been with me. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And let's see what the next few months brings for us all. I would like to thank a couple of people. Number one, I would like to thank the director of this great station and the founder, Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski. Thank you so much for giving me this amazing opportunity. I've loved every second of being on and talking with all of you. And to my producer extraordinaire, to Reverend Michael Mangus. Reverend Michael, thank you so much. You have supported me. You have encouraged me. You have made me laugh. You have produced this show seamlessly, and I can't thank you enough. I don't know how people do it by themselves. I think it's almost impossible. So I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Dear listeners, take good care. Put all of the things we've been talking about in practice, and know that you are not only loved, but with every beat of your heart, with every step that you take, know that you are love. And the world needs what you are and who you are. So spread it around. Spread it around. Thank you. Take good care. I'll be in touch, and I'll think of you. All right. See you again. Take care. Good night.